Hello friends, welcome back to Go Tutorials. Happy to meet you in the next section of user types tutorials. Earlier in the previous video recording, we have seen something about structs, how to create a user defined data type and how to define attributes for the data type and how to initialize them, how to instantiate and how to fetch the data, everything, right? Now we are going to see the second phase of user type where we will add behaviors. Earlier, what we did, we add properties, right? For example, we have created a user-defined type called country. We added country name, currency, also the capital of the country, everything. They are all the properties of a user type. Now, we are trying to add some more behaviors on the properties. So those behaviors are called as methods. So we are going to see how to create a user-defined type, how to add behaviors to the user-defined type. So the mechanism in which we add the behaviors to the user-defined types are called as methods. Of course, the word seems quite familiar in Java language where methods represent a function. Here, methods are also functions here, but they have some additional features. Let us see what is a method, how to declare a method, right? Simple. I will open the command prompt. I am going to increase the font size for you. Okay. Let's maximize and switch over to our regular directory, go demo. So here I am going to create a new file which will be a methoddemo.go where, sorry, one second. Okay, nothing, right? Yeah. Pico methoddemo.go. Yeah. Right. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to add package main import fmt, right? So as simple as that. Now I am going to create a user defined type as we discussed in the previous video. Type the same country, which is a structure. So the country is going to carry a name and a currency. So the country is going to have two properties, which are name and currency. Now inside function main, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a variable of type country, which is India, by initializing the values India and currency will be INR. So this is a country. Then format.Println going to print the country, which is India. So this is a regular simple example where we create and initialize a user defined type. So if we run the code, what happens here? It just compiles, executes India INR, which is the properties for this country, which is being printed. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to create a method. So usually how we will create a function? The same way we will create a method, but with a small change. So how we will create a function? So we create a function display. So if we have any parameters or command line, any arguments to the functions, we will put it inside the parenthesis. If we have any return values, we will open one more parenthesis set and we will add the return type, right? This is how we declare functions so far from the previous video recordings we have seen. Now, the same way I have declared a function, but I am not interested with any arguments here. But there is one more thing which makes a function different from the method, which is called as a receiver. So a function has a parameter, it may return a value. Apart from that, if it has a receiver, it is called as a method. So what is a receiver? How to mention it? A receiver is nothing but the type specification which comes in between the keyword func and the function name. Here, in between the keyword func and the name display, I am going to add a receiver. So how to add a receiver? Let us see this. Yeah, so here what is the receiver I am going to do? So I am going to create a receiver of type country. This is called a receiver. So here method display has no arguments but one receiver of type country. So this is what the meaning of the statement. So if you have a receiver declared or if you have a receiver defined in a function, this function is called as a method. Similarly, a method without any receiver, it is called as a function. Right? It is as simple as that. Right? Fine. Now we are done with creating a simple method. The method carries a receiver. Now what I am going to do, using the object created, which is an India, instead of printing it here, what I am going to do, india.display. I am going to invoke the method here. So India is the variable of type country using which I am invoking the method display. So this variable India will be passed to this particular type country because India is also a country, right? So this will be passed to this receiver C. So what will happen here, if you want to access the properties of variable India, that can be accessed using the property C here, because the value being passed to this particular method in this receiver C. So this type is called value receiver because a value is being passed to the receiver from main. So how I need to handle this? The same format.Println, I'm going to print this C here. Instead of printing it in the main as India, I am passing this India to the receiver variable C, and that C will be printed here. It is the same response will be printed, but this time the print operation will be handled by the receiver, not from the main. Okay, let us see how it compiles and what's the output of the code. The same India INR is being printed as I told, but it is being handled by the method receiver. Okay, so the value being passed from main to the receiver, so it is called as value receiver. Now what I am going to do, here we are just printing the value of the type, right? Now I am going to do something useful where I am going to set the data. Instead of passing this, I am going to set it, right? So how to set it? For that, what I am going to do, I am going to do create a function, name my function as setName. I am going to change the name. Here, how I am going to change the setName? So what I need to do, I'm going to change the name. So the country name is India. If I want to change the name of the country, I need to pass a string as an argument, right? So I need to mention a string variable, name string. This is a normal function with some arguments, right? This is not a method because we are not yet defined any receivers. Okay. So far it is a function with a string argument. So now what I am going to do, I am going to convert this function as a method by specifying a receiver. Now the receiver is going to carry a pointer. Earlier here in this display method, we have seen the receiver is of type country. It is not a pointer, it carries a value. Now the receiver I am going to create is a pointer. So how I need to define? The same way how we did earlier, but with a star. C star country. So here the receiver carries the address. So the same method setName has string argument with the pointer country. So this is called as pointer receiver. So there are two types of receivers available in Go programming language, which is a value receiver we have seen earlier, through which we have just passing the values. Now it is a pointer receiver through which we can deal with address. Now what I am going to do, I am going to assign the value to this pointer. So C is the variable through which the address is being passed. So c.name equal to this name we are passing as a parameter. So using the pointer, I set the value for the variable name in the country user defined type. Here what I am going to do, India dot, I am going to invoke the name setName. Here I need to give it as some name called Bharath. So this is another name for India. So what will happen? This Bharath will be passed to the name variable in the setName method. So what will happen is the setName method is being invoked with the variable India, but the receiver which deals is will carry only the address. So the address of India will be passed as a reference to this particular pointer receiver. So using the address, it will set the variable name as the new value we have passed and assigned to here. So the value India will be replaced by Bharath. Now what we will do, we will do the same invocation india.display. Let us compile the code and see what happens. India INR is changed as Bharath INR. So this is how the receivers at two levels. One is the pointer level is called a pointer receiver, another one is value receiver. Value receiver simply deals with values, whereas pointer receiver through which we will pass the address. So this is how the methods play role in whenever we deal with user defined data type. So whenever we declare a user defined data type, we need to use pointer receivers in the methods where we do changes. We need to use value receivers where we just retrieve the value. So that's all about methods in Go programming language. So please go through the previous section of user defined types using structs and this section with methods, and whenever you have any doubt or suggestions, please put them in the comment section given below. Click the subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell button to get updates whenever a video is being released. Thanks for watching. Let us catch up in a new session.